me mad, motherfucker!
This is episode 5 of the latest Toast to Sales podcast. I'm your co-host, Asim Trayvonovich.
And I'm your host, Jimmy Jones, and I got my boy in the building. Got some funny stories to tell about him. Adam, the Super Realtor.
Super.
Tell the people, about yourself, man.
Oh man, I'm a realtor here in Huntsville, North Alabama. I'm from North Alabama, man. It's just good to be here. I love what y'all doing, man.
Appreciate it.
Came to spill some game.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, man. How did you get into, real estate?
Man, I've been into real estate for a long time as far as, just how things are done. I love the design process, just everything about it. I love homes, I love touring homes with clients and stuff like that. So that's really how I got into it. It was a love of mine when I bought my house, I was like, hey man, I could do this.
Right.
So I decided to get licensed, and I want to be able to help those around me, people who don't know.
Right.
And just help educate people in home ownership. That's the goal.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. How did the real estate game impact your life? And how did it not only impact your life, with real estate, but on an everyday basis?
Being a realtor, it allows you flexibility to do other things, entrepreneurial. People, it's a lot of realtors who got full-time jobs, but it definitely allows you to broaden your scope, put your hands on a lot of different things. So that's really one of the reasons that I did want to take it on as a career, is to be able to, pick and choose, when I wanted to be with my family.
Absolutely.
When I wanted to block my schedule off to do things that I felt like I needed to be done.
Yeah. When you first started real estate, how hard was it to kind of gain the traction of, your first sale, your first couple sales? How was it easy? Was it hard?
I mean, just like any sales job, you got to build that rapport with the people, with the community, with your scope of people. You got to let people know what you're doing. You got to show people you're serious, you're a professional, and that you're knowledgeable. So that's been my take, just trying to educate myself so I can be a real resource for people.
Correct. Now, your previous job, that you were a GM at Taco Bell, then you transferred to being a GM at Jack's, right? And I remember, like I said, when you was a GM at Taco Bell. I actually sold you a car 5 years ago.
My first car that I bought on my own, man.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy to me that it's been that long, and I'm proud of you, man. You upgraded and you pushing. How long would you say that it would take? If I was just getting into real estate, how long would it take me to learn, everything about real estate? Or you may not know everything about real estate, but how long would it take me to learn?
Believe it or not, man, the process of getting your license, you learn nothing about what you're gonna be doing in the field. They tell you what not to do, how not to go to jail.
Right.
So it's you gotta get a good broker. You gotta be around the right people and just learn as much as you can. Take courses on the market and just everything about real estate, because like I said, the pre-licensing part of it, you're not really gonna learn what to do. You know
what not to do though.
Right. Yeah. What not to do.
Yeah.
So you just got to gain traction. It's different for a lot of people. I had one really successful realtor tell me it took her 11 months to get her first sale. So you just gotta stick it out. You gotta farm. You gotta work with your people, get to know people. You gotta get yourself out there and brand yourself. That's the most important thing.
And like I said, I like what you're doing, man. You actually brand yourself, because there's a lot of realtors that's out there.
Yeah.
But when you brand yourself, with a certain image, that's kind of what make you who you are.
It's only one super realtor.
Just so they know. Just so they know. Now, would you say that customer service, your last job, kind of helped you transition into?
Absolutely, because what I was doing is considered operations, So when you learn the operations, you know what going on behind the scene, and it involves sales and customer service too. So I feel like it helped cultivate me and to help mold me into being able to deal with the public, deal with people, and meet their needs.
Right.
Why'd you pick real estate? I mean, you was big time, you know, general manager. Why'd you pick real estate? There's a bunch of sales jobs. Why'd you?
You're right. Real estate. I worked a couple other sales jobs before. Sales. Let me say this: sales is one of the hardest jobs.
Absolutely.
But it's also one of the most rewarding jobs.
It is.
So I'm gonna tell you 3 reasons why I picked real estate. So real estate or sales, period. You know, it's not a cap on how much. Can't nobody tell you this how much you're making this year.
That's right.
No, it's on you.
It's on you. It's on you.
Yeah.
So if you want to make $1 million this year,
You can
you're
do
gonna
it.
do $1 million
You can
in
do
sales.
it.
Then
You can do it.
And then time. A lot of sales jobs still have the restriction of time. You know, real estate. You know, when you working with your people, you do what you need to do. You done for the day. You know, not done for the day. You know, of course, you always working, but you know, you can block your time up how you need to, depending on what's going on in your life. And then just, you know, I want to be a resource for people. You know, home ownership is big. It's big, and I want to be that gap.
Right.
I want to bridge that gap.
Getting into real estate, I mean, can anybody do it? Does it cost a lot of money? Is it free? I mean, is it low cost just to get your license and get your name out there? I mean, can anybody do it?
No. Real estate can get very expensive. Real estate can get very expensive, especially in your first year. You paying for licensing, you paying for courses, you paying for post course. You got to pay for every test you take. You know? If you fail a test, you got to keep paying for it. You know, so it's a lot to go into it. You got membership fees for different associations, so it can get really expensive. Then once you get licensed, you go into paying for advertising and trying to brand yourself and get your name out there, so it can get really expensive.
Now, I heard that the test hard as hell. I mean, is it really, tell the people, is it really that hard?
I done heard a lot of people, other realtors say it was hard. For me, it was, I was engaged in my course. I loved what I was learning about, so I studied. It was natural for me because this was something that I was interested in. You know, I wasn't just taking on something. So, but it is tough. It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of new stuff that we don't know about. You know, that you learning. So it can be tough. All you got to do is study, though. You know, if you're serious about it, study. Take time off. You got to be dedicated to it.
So you would say this ain't something that you can just go in and wing?
Nah, it's not. No, let me go get a quick certification. Nah, especially because you can find yourself in some legal trouble. You can people be mad at you. Because you know you're advising people on the biggest purchase of their life. You know, so.
Correct. Other than the car, but anyway. But
hey, the whip is important, man. The whip is important.
It's in the driveway.
But you know, if I was just getting into real estate, what are some of the things or you know, some advice that you would give me?
Getting into it as a realtor?
Yeah, and I'm brand new.
Okay, so of course, like I said, the pre-licensing course and stuff, it don't tell you how to be a realtor, but it let you know what you shouldn't do, what can get you in trouble and stuff like that. Take that stuff seriously, you know, learn that so you don't want to run into no problem like that. You can lose your license, you can be fined, stuff like that. So you want to know what not to do.
Right.
But just take as many courses as you can, talk to as many people as you can, find a mentor. You know, this is like you said, sales, you got to build that momentum.
Absolutely.
And then real estate, it's not people walking in. It's not a Walmart full of houses, you know. And people just, so you want to be good. You want to be valuable to your people.
Correct. So on the consumer side, if I was a consumer looking to buy a house, what are some of the proper steps you would tell me to take? Like, is there like, you know, some type of steps that I have to take before we get to like what would you tell me to take, or what steps you would tell me?
So if you come to me and be like, hey, I want to buy a house, you know, of course you got to get a mortgage if you're not paying cash. If you're paying cash, it's a little different. But if you
elaborate on cash versus mortgage, if you would.
So mortgages mean you're gonna be financing a house $300,000. If you don't have the whole $300,000 up there up front, you know you got to finance it. So that's an extra step in which you got to go through financing. You got to get approved for financing, and on that note, pre-approval, you got to have pre-approval. A lot of people want pre-approval before you even go see a house. I like to work with people, you know, we're going to do what we need to do, but pre-approval is very important so you know what you're shopping for one. Credit, your income, your debt is what's going to go into your pre-approval. Get your credit score high as you can. The higher credit score, you get the better terms you get on a loan. The less debt you have, they're more comfortable giving you a loan. And the more income you have, the more you can afford to purchase.
Right.
So make sure that's in line. Once you're pre-approved, you know exactly how much you can afford to buy.
Correct.
So you go look for a house, go under contract, you know, you negotiate with the sellers on any repairs if you want repairs made to the property. There are a lot of other costs associated with buying a house, like, you know, you gotta do your appraisal, inspection. You know, it depends. It's situational a lot, but you know, it's pretty cut and dry. If everything is in order, you know, it goes pretty smooth.
Cool.
Let me ask you this. You know, everybody remembers their first deal, right? I remember the first time I sold a truck. You know, I remember what they looked like. It was, you know, it was an older couple. They said, you know, you give me $1,000 off, I'll buy it. I mean, like, how'd your first deal go? Did you make a mistake? Do you remember them? Do you still talk to them?
I was crazy nervous my first deal. My first deal actually fell through. So that was a great learning experience for me, because it's gonna happen. It happens all the time. You know, your financing might not go through. You know, they might be prepared to buy. Your financing might not go through. You can't negotiate with the sellers and the buyer to come to terms and agree. You know, because ultimately it's their decision. You know, I want to get it or I don't. So. My first deal, it was a tough deal. For a first deal, you know, I was nervous, man. I was nervous, but you know, ultimately he decided he wasn't going to buy. And we still talk, you know. I still advise him, you know. He still asks me questions. It was an older guy, so you know he's more comfortable or more content. So he was like, man,
It's like a want and not a have to.
Right. So, but that's experience, though. You know, what went wrong? You know, what could I do better next time? That's a great experience. So it made me better. You know what I'm saying? So I was appreciative for that.
So, you know, when you're buying your first home, as a buyer, what are some questions a buyer should ask the realtor in order to, you know, make sure they're getting taken care of?
As a realtor, you know, you just want to be informative. You want to make sure their loan officer is doing their due diligence you don't just give them a loan officer. You make sure they shop around for rates, getting the best loan product. You know, make sure, you know, we go in and out of a lot of houses. You know, you might be able to point something out, you know, to make sure they follow up on it in a house or something like that. You know, you want to make sure all their documents are in and communicate with the closing attorney and the lender. You know, you just want to make sure their process goes smooth.
Correct. So I'm gonna ask you this: let's say that I talk to you about buying a house, and you know, I'm not in a rush to really buy it, but I really like that house. When would you say that the best time to put an offer in on a house? Like, would you say that it's a day, or, you know, because with the new market, shit, people buying houses sight unseen. They ain't even seen it. So if I was buying a house, what would you say the best time for me and you to put the offer in on the house that we looked at if I really liked it?
You definitely, I always tell people, you know, look at make sure you got 2 or 3 options that you weigh in, so you know you can ultimately decide that, hey, this is my favorite option. You know, this is what I want. But other than that, I mean, once you decide that something is what you want, then, you know, I would put my offer in. The market it's not as much competition, but you know, there's still competition. We live in North Alabama. We have a strong economy. The houses are continuing to go up in value. I would put my offer in as soon as I know this is the one. You know, you still have your opportunity to check out the property, have inspectors come in to make sure it's good. So as long as that checks out and it's the home you want, I would put my offer in right away.
So, I mean, market's crazy right now. Houses cost more. Rates are up.
Right.
How do you combat that compared to like 2 years ago? You know, because interest rates keep people away from a lot of things. What's like the, you know, do you recommend like buy it now? What do you say?
So right now, if you buy a house, you know, the homes are sitting on the market longer. Sellers are more motivated to, you know, give incentive for you to buy their property. You know, you can get closing costs paid for. You know, you can virtually go to the table with no money. You know,
see, that's some good shit. Because I didn't even know that.
No.
Versus 2 years ago, you know, people were offering $30,000, $40,000, sometimes $100,000 over what the sellers were asking. Sight unseen, like you said. You know, they're investors who had cash. You know, they're paying way over. You don't have that competition no more. So it's a great time to buy a house as a buyer if you can afford to do that. You know, find out what your mortgage would be. If you can afford that mortgage, that's a home you want. It's definitely a good time to buy.
So you would say that a seller is bound to catch more, of attention of the people that's paying cash versus the people that's financing. What you say?
Well, for the seller, cash is always easier because you don't have to worry about finance contingencies and stuff like that. So it's easier for the seller, but everybody don't have cash.
Yeah.
And when the market's up, like now, investors aren't willing to give all that money with high interest rates and high. So it's easier to finance now. It's easier to find people who's financing now than willing to pay all that money.
Yeah. And I mean, as a realtor, you got to have your name, your number public as public information. Do you have a lot of investors that call you like, hey, put this offer in, it's like a low ball, just people trying to get in the market, flip houses. Do you have a lot of those types of phone calls?
I've had a couple of them. A lot of investors, are real estate professionals or either work with a broker. But I've had a couple of them, try to, get in. A lot of people, when they're selling their home, they're not really looking for the quick sale. Most people want to cash in the equity in their home. Yeah. But you do have those situations.
Right. And is that a good relationship to have? I mean, what kind of homes do you primarily sell? Would you just sell any home? A home that needs to be fixed up, or do you want a newly built home? What kind of homes do you prefer to sell? Or does
me personally, I'll represent any buyer. But as far as new construction is a lot smoother. Everything is new. Yeah. You do have your problems there too, just like anywhere else. But new construction, you don't have to worry about leaks and stuff like that. If it's there, they're there to fix it right away because it's new. It's a lot easier to get stuff taken care of and repairs and stuff like that.
Right. And I mean, you're a homeowner, Jim. How did that process go for you when you bought your home?
So I'm not gonna lie. I gave my realtor hell.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna bullshit.
But that's good though. That's good though. Put in the work.
Because it was, I was scared, man. Because shit, like you said, that's the biggest purchase, shit of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know shit about it. I was ready. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when he was like, "Hey, man, it's time to put in this offer," I kind of backed up. Because I was like, man, shit, it just got real.
I'm about to make an offer.
Yeah, I'm really finna buy a house.
Yeah. Once they sign that, they accept that offer, it's a binding contract.
Yeah, exactly. And I really didn't understand the importance of really buying a house, but it's probably one of the best. Probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because, and you probably can elaborate on this, but renting, you really pissing your money away.
That's it.
Because
and renting, some people that's it's for them. There's a lot of people that move around. There's a lot of temporary housing and stuff like that. You might not be able to afford a mortgage or qualify for one. But if you can afford to buy a home, I definitely would encourage you. Rental rates go up every single year.
It's not monthly.
So every time you renew the lease, you're paying a higher rent. Once you get your mortgage, your price is your price. No matter how much value your home grows, you can cash in on equity. If you have equity in your home, you can refinance your home. Right. Put that equity in your pocket, use it to start a business or to invest in, whatever the case may be. But buying a home is definitely worth it.
Yeah, and that's true because, and I can kind of elaborate on that. People look at rent versus buying a home kind of like they look at used cars versus new cars. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just because new cars got a market adjustment in today's time, shit, used cars got it too, but you don't see it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have a sticker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why people be like, shit, houses is up, let me rent. Yeah. No, but you finna pay $1,200 on rent.
Somebody owns that property and they're paying a mortgage on it.
Absolutely.
And it's at a fraction of the price that you're paying. So you could be paying that same amount towards your mortgage, something that you own. There's a lot of costs that go into owning a home, but it's yours. You have the equity, you own the equity in it, so it's definitely a good decision.
So let me ask you this, because there's a lot of what about this? What about that? When it comes to renting, if you just can't afford your rent anymore, you can, for the most part, just get up out of there, move in with your family. What happens if you can't afford your mortgage anymore?
Sell it.
You can sell your house. Of course, you don't want to go into foreclosure.
Right.
That marks your credit, and it'll be hard for you to do it again. Right. It's not impossible, but it'll be hard. Yeah. But you can sell your home, possibly cash out on equity if you need to go rent for a while. Buy something smaller. It is yours until you do sell it. You can rent it out. You
Right,
can keep the
right,
property.
right.
If you can't afford the mortgage, rent it to somebody who can.
Correct.
And they'll be paying your mortgage for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, a lot of people don't really know that they can buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
So will you explain to the people what type of credit score you need to have, you know, the qualifications that they need to have to buy a house?
There's credit scores as low as 580 that I've seen get approved. I generally advise my clients, you know, you want better terms above 600, 640 is strong. Anything over that, you know, you're in a good position. You want to have some reserves. You want to have some money saved up, not necessarily to put down or anything, but lenders like to see that you have an emergency fund just in case, you know, you lose your job or something like that. You'll be able to cover your mortgage.
What's the
And
typical
paying
down
off
payment?
debt. Paying off, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
the
good.
down payment, you can go up, they have loan products that are 100% financing, where you don't have to put any money down.
Right.
You know, and you can go to the table, like I said, virtually with any money, with no money. You get your sellers to pay your closing costs, do 100% financing. That's no money at the table.
And I think that's probably a lot of people, you know, scary is, damn, I got to go in, I got to put $15,000 down. Because a lot of people don't know that you don't have to bring money to the table.
Right.
Shit, I didn't even know it. I'm in the sales industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. So what is the different type of loans that you can, you know, that you can get that's out there?
USDA is 100% financing. It's a rural loan, you know, more in rural areas, they're 100% financing. There's eligibility maps that you can use to pre-qualify your home. They have a lot of different lenders have different products, but there's like 3 or 4 different 100% financing options out there. Even if it wasn't 100% financing, you know, FHA, you can do 3.5% down. You know, nowadays, not really, unless you just have that money and you want to put that equity into your home.
Right.
There's no reason to bring a boatload of cash to the closing table.
Yeah.
So what is some complaints and like some obligations that the customer has? You know, what
A lot of customers think we own the, well, you know, especially like older people, you know, you just gotta, it's important that your customers know your position. And what you're there for them for, you know. It's important that your customer knows that you work for them.
Correct.
You know, I'm not just trying to sell a house. I'm not just trying to get a commission check. I want you to be satisfied. You know? So a lot of customers think you own the house, or you can make the other side make a move that you can't. You know, it's negotiable. You know, if they decide they don't want to do it, they don't have to. You know,
it's their house.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, you get that a lot. So yeah.
What's the competition like with other realtors in the market?
There's a lot of realtors. It's a lot of realtors.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of licensees, but the difference is your service and the value that you bring to your customer.
Right. So you would say that they buy people that they like, right?
That's definitely part of it. You know, they're not gonna shop with anybody they don't like. You know, you have to have that customer service aspect. You want to be educated and knowledgeable so you can pass that along.
Right.
You know, you want to be able to negotiate on their behalf. You know, you don't want to just be clean cut. You know, you might have to fight a little bit. You might have to have a few tough conversations. You know, you might have to do some stuff. You know, use your expertise to make some deals happen. You know, but you want to be able to give that value to your customer.
Are you ever trying to sell the same house as another realtor, and like how do you win?
Yeah, because I know like us, shit in the car business.
It's tough.
Let's say that one of my fellow co-workers are trying to sell this car, but hell, I know my family got to eat too.
Right.
I'm finna sell that fucking car. I ain't, you know, I got a little remorse.
Right.
You know, I give you first, but if y'all take too long, I'm gonna sell it. So has that ever happened to you?
I mean, so if you're representing the buyer, you're helping them purchase whatever property that they choose. If you're representing the seller, 9 times out of 10 it's exclusively listed by you.
Yeah.
But there are other listing agreements where other realtors can sell the property too. But most realtors operate on a exclusive right to sell. So no matter who brings the buyer, I listed the house, I get the commission on the sale.
Okay, so that's kind of like a split deal for us.
Right, so whoever brings the buyer, if I'm listing the house, I'll split the commission with whoever brings the buyer.
Okay.
Do you think that's a little aggravating? You know, like, damn, I did all the work pretty much. I mean, I know you listed it, But I sold the, you know what I'm saying? I sold the house.
But there's a lot of work to going into listing it. You know, they have to. How did I find the house? You know, they made it available for me to find.
Right,
you know, they put these pictures up. They advertised on the house.
Right.
So they're representing the buyer. Of course, if the buyer sells, that's their. They got to pay their realtor, and he splits the commission with whoever brings the buyer for bringing the buyer and helping the buyer close on the property.
So let me ask you this, man. You know, say I'm looking to buy the home. I see the perfect home on the internet somewhere. Just perfect one. I know I want it, but I want to buy from you.
Right.
But you know, another realtor has it posted. Can I buy that home from you, or do I have to go through exclusively that person?
The realtor who posted the home represents the seller.
Okay.
So I could represent you and make sure, you know, your side of the sale goes good and smooth. You know, you do. Most of the time, you don't want to be represented by the same person who's representing the seller, because you know it could be a conflict of interest. You know, it can some situations where you know if you know your stuff, you know you comfortable going in the deal by yourself, then you know you might do that. But you get your own realtor, someone to represent you, someone that's gonna have your best interests in mind.
So you being in the real estate game, would you say that it's easier for you to kind of cherry pick on the houses that, let's say that you want to invest in some shit? Is it kind of easy for you to kind of go through and cherry pick? You know, you get firsthand experience. You know, you can get that house first before anybody.
Nah, I don't really work like that. Once a listing goes live, it's mostly public. There are some there in rare occasions they do. Like realtor only, you know, previews and stuff like that. But until the listing is live, you can't put an offer in. You can't do anything like that.
So how long do it take for like a home to go on Zillow, for instance? I mean, you know, do it go up immediately, or you know, like do it take 10 days for the public to see it, or?
Zillow, once your listing goes live, you can do coming soon, pending. Once your listing goes live, Zillow usually gets their information directly on the listing services.
So you would say that, you know, being in the real estate game, it's good to have some type of relationship with the mortgage, like, you know, is it?
Absolutely. You know, first of all, it's important to make relationships with everybody. You know, everybody,
networking,
especially lenders. You know, you learn about loan products, you learn about interest rates, you learn about what you can do or information that you can pass on to your client that can help them. That's that value piece. You know, you become more valuable because you know more.
So do you learn that, you know, as soon as you get into real estate, or is that something that you kind of figure out as the process goes on?
There's no, as far as like lending and stuff goes, there's no, you're not a lender, you know, so you're not getting that education. Finding the lender that you trust or that you worked with, your experience with good, you know, is important to build those relationships. So, I mean, of course, the internet these days, you can learn anything on the internet, but you know, having that one-on-one connection with people that you have worked with, or you know, somebody that you know has experience, you know, getting that game from them is important.
So you having a relationship with them, would you say it's kind of easier for you to get a person approved? Like say for instance, they got a couple things on their credit, but their credit score is pretty decent. Right. You knowing the lender, you know what I'm saying, the person who's doing the loan, would you say it's kind of easier? Not
that you know the lender, but that you know the right lender. You know, the one some lenders are cut and dry, like we looking for cookie cutter people. They got perfect credit, money down, you know. And there's some lenders who like, I'm gonna dig and I'm gonna make some stuff happen so we can get this loan pushed through. Right. So it's not the person that you know. It's just making sure it's the right person.
So, what is a underwriter? Because I know I've heard of an underwriter before. What is that? Will you elaborate to the people?
So an underwriter works on the lender side. They work with the lender they doing all the digging. They're the ones who are requesting all this additional information. You know, they want to know your financials. They want to know your work history. And they're going to dig through, verify everything. You know, just they're the ones who ultimately make sure you're eligible for the loan.
Correct.
So let me ask you, you when it comes, you know, single family, multifamily homes, how different is that when as far as like getting a loan for a multifamily or getting a loan for a single family? Is it different get a loan? Can you get an FHA for a multifamily? Say somebody that wants to just invest and get in the rental side.
Absolutely. You definitely can. It just depends. Your product, your loan product, is mainly depending on what you want to do. You know, there's mortgages as as someone who's just looking for somewhere to live. There's some mortgages that you wouldn't want to touch because they're high interest. You know, they have adjustable rate mortgages, but those are for maybe somebody who wants to get in, need a loan now, and plans to sell in a few months. So they're not worried about that interest rate going up. It just all depends on what you want to do with what your plans are for the property.
And let me ask you this: what you say? What is if I'm building a home? What kind of loan do I need to go after?
Same thing. Well, first of all, let me say this: it depends. It depends on
what it depends on.
It depends on if you're doing spec homes where you builders are developing and building the whole community. They're not gonna sell you that home until after it's built.
Correct.
So you get a regular loan. If you're buying some land, you generally, there's two types of ways you can do it. You can where they get it as they build, or you can get a loan to where you know what you want. And you can get it financed up front, and you can start paying on it right away.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Is it easier to build a house if you already own the land? Or
I mean, now you just need financing for the property.
You
generally, when you're doing custom homes like that on your own land, you work with the builder, the guy who's building it.
So look, let's jump into this. What you know about Airbnbs? Because I've been looking to kind of invest in some. I want some residual income coming in, and I talked to a couple people, and they say that Airbnb is good, but they never gave me the knowledge or the whole rundown.
Right.
So do you know a lot about Airbnb?
It's just like being a landlord. That's your property, and you letting other people stay there at a price. Airbnb is an investment, just like all investment. That includes risk. So if you're not booked, that's a mortgage you have to cover along with anything else you're paying for. If you're booked and you're busy, great investment. You're bringing that money in.
Would you say that it's better? I mean, is there certain areas that's better?
Location is definitely in real estate. Location,
right?
Location is everything. Right. So you want to be in a location where people are doing short stays, whether it's through corporate or whether it's through people that's vacationing. You just want to have an audience. You don't want to do it in the middle of nowhere where nobody's visiting or staying outside of their home.
And with you working at Mid City, which is here in Huntsville, would you say that it's better to build? Because you know a lot about Huntsville. Of course, I know you're from Decatur, but is it better to do that in Huntsville rather than other places? Since Huntsville is
so Airbnb,
big?
Huntsville and the surrounding areas. Especially we got the Redstone Arsenal here. We got a lot of government contractors here. It's a lot of people working here. They're doing a lot of building. Construction crews need places to stay. Executives coming from out of town. So it definitely can be profitable.
So would you say that, let's say that I want to buy a rental home versus, or I want to not buy a rental home, but I want to rent a home versus than me personally, would you say that you're more interested in working with me versus me trying to do a rental versus me buying a home? Because it's the commissions different. Like, do you get the same commissions?
Realtors get commissions off of sales. When it's home sales, that's when you get your commission. As far as rentals, there are a few properties. It's not as popular here, but there are a handful of properties that are listed for rent. They offer compensation, but it's nowhere near like the sale. They may offer just something for you to say, hey, I got somebody who's not ready to buy right now, they're renting. Me personally, I help anybody who's looking for help. So if you're looking for a rental property and I can help you find that, I'll help you find that, regardless of the compensation that they're offering. But the commission comes from the sale.
And we got Superhero in the building, man. Listen, if y'all looking for a rental, a rental, looking to buy, whatever the case may be, we're gonna put this contact shit on the end.
But hey, I'm here for you, man. I'm here for you.
Absolutely. So with you being new in the game, would you say that people have they're kind of got, it's easier for them than you, to get the sale?
Having that momentum definitely helps. You got people been referring you got people been recognizing your brand. So it is, but it's all about like I said, go back to that value that you give to your clients. So if you can do that, you you catch up pretty fast. You know, people will the clients that you work with, they don't mind telling somebody else about you. You know, letting them know about your value.
Right. So let's say that me and you work together, and you're new in the business. You're new in selling houses. Sorry, I'm so used to saying selling cars. You selling houses. But I'm an OG in the game. What you want? I mean, how do the split game go as far as me and you being coworkers?
I mean, real estate. You know, we're brokered, so we are tied to a company.
Correct.
But it's really a small business of your own. You know,
so it's like an individual thing.
Right. So everything is negotiable. Everything is in writing. So you know, if I need you to help me, you know, so we co-listing or we we're gonna act as co-agents. You know what I mean? So you figure out that split on how you want to do that. You know, so a lot of people work on teams.
Okay.
You know, so
I've heard of that. So can you elaborate on what teams is?
So you really just have a leadership. You know, you have people that you're not by yourself anymore. You know, you work on a team. So you know, you got people there you can call at any time. You know, in the real estate game, it can be a little competitiveness can be high. You know, so you don't always feel comfortable. You know, picking up and calling somebody, asking them that you know. And a lot of people don't want to give you game. You know, they want to block you out. You know,
But you know what they say? Hey, what's meant for you is meant for you.
And that's
what
I believe.
Nobody
that's why I said I don't mind helping people. I don't mind giving game. I don't mind being a resource to people because what's for me is for me.
And we're gonna toast to that, guy.
There we go.
We're gonna toast to that. So would you say that the housing market is gonna get better or worse?
Who says it's bad? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I feel like here, I can't speak for everywhere.
Absolutely.
I haven't studied the market across the country, but here in North Alabama, we have a strong economy. We're getting jobs. You know, people are making more money. Families are moving here from all over the country.
Absolutely. Right.
So our economy is strong. Prices have stopped surging like they have because people aren't as eager to pay that 5% interest versus 2% interest. So, you know, the competition has settled down. Prices are strong. I feel like we're in a good place right now. I feel like it's going to be steady.
Right.
You know, and right now you have the opportunity to negotiate.
Correct. So you would say that this is a stronger market with being here.
Right. What we've seen in the last 2 years was insane.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. That's everything.
It's insane.
Shit,
you know?
Eggs up. He always talk about that. He always talk about the damn eggs.
You know,
he
and
love
then
eggs.
another thing, just to say about those eggs, you know, I don't want to speak on how farmers sell their product, you know, but a lot of people, once they see that you're willing to pay a price, it rarely ever goes down. You know, so if eggs continue to sell well, whether they get cheaper for them or not, you know, it may stay the same for us because they see that we're willing to pay that. You know, if that's the case.
And kind of speaking on farmers, is this a such thing as an agricultural loan?
Yeah, USDA loans are agricultural loans.
Okay. So if I wanted to go buy some farmland, that's the loan that I need to do.
More than likely, if you're buying farmland, it's in a rural area, so you have the option.
So, you know, selling houses, what kind of things do you need to kind of be prepared for the whole process? Do you need a camera to take pictures of the houses? Do you need like a drone to make the video? What kind of things
that goes into your expenses. You know, you can hire a marketing team. You can hire somebody from the outside to do it.
So you really it's really your damn business. Like
it's your business.
They just give you the job.
Yeah,
but you gotta
have the license. If you say you want to sell your house and I'm gonna represent you, it's on me to make sure your house gets out there. You know, you don't hand me $2,000 and say, "Here, go make sure you get." That's my expense. You know, so I mean, it can get up there. You know, it depends on what you want to do. It depends on how motivated you are to get your listing sold.
Right. So let me ask you this: could you ask the seller to pay those fees, or is it just kind of like
this? We talking about a $300,000 house. I'm gonna give you $17,000.
Yeah. So I ain't paying you shit.
That's what you're here for. You know,
it's your job. Yeah. I feel that. So what is your goal like in the next couple years? You know, of course, I know real estate take a while for you to kind of get your name out there and shit like that. But what is your goal? You know, do you want to be a broker? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to have your own shit? Like, what is your goal?
Me personally, right now, I'm focused on learning as much as I can. Like I said, I'm focused on increasing my value for my clients. Eventually, I do want to go and get a broker's license. I don't know about being a qualified broker. That's
What's the difference?
the qualified broker. So you can get a broker's license, but that doesn't automatically make you a qualified broker. A qualified broker is responsible for everybody that is represented in that company. And if you have a broker's license and you're not the qualified broker, you can be an associate broker, which, you know, you still bear some responsibility because of the position that you hold, of course, but you're not ultimately over the brokerage.
So what are the levels to like being a realtor, right? You know, usually you go somewhere, you know, you be just a worker to like assistant manager to a manager to a GM, whatever, store manager. What are the levels to like being a realtor and the positions?
So once you get licensed, you know, you become a realtor or a real estate agent. That's entry level. Above that is a broker.
Okay.
You can either act as a qualified broker, like I said, who was over the company, or an associate broker is a salesperson who just has their broker's license. There's real estate instructors you have to have a broker's license for. So you can go into instructing real estate, teaching pre-licenses course and things like that.
Right.
Is there a big pay gap between all of them?
Well,
Shit, I'm sure.
brokers just get, qualified brokers get a split of your commission.
Okay. So basically, you work. Well, hell, that's just like anything. I'm working for you,
Right.
Yeah,
So ultimately, it's their compensation for being responsible for you.
Right.
You know, a lot of brokers provide, a lot of resources. You know, a lot of branding, a lot of stuff like that. Some provide leads. You know, things like that. So, it's their part of your business.
Right. So going back to you said leads. What is some of the what? And I don't want you to tell your secrets, but would you say that there's certain like websites or certain like things that you need to buy that you can get customers' information?
No, you don't really get customers' information. Well, kinda.
Yeah.
You know,
Or it's not as far as like their social and shit like that. But
you do. You know, people who a house may have been for sale that didn't get to sell. You know, you go and offer your value to them. Hey, you know, I can sell your house. You know, I'm gonna do better than the other agent did for you. Or, well, really, you don't want to speak on any other agent. You sell your value.
Right.
You know, but that, or you know, back to expenses, you can buy lead generation tools and stuff like that, or your broker might provide them. But the best lead generation is this, you know, that pure connection, you know, getting networking, letting people know who you are, what you do, you know, people recognizing your brand and you selling your value to them.
Yeah. So, you obviously do it full time.
Right.
Am I right? Yes, because you know you have nothing else going on as far as another job. How does the hours of a realtor affect like your work or your family life or your personal life?
You know, it can be good or it can be bad. You know, if you, like I said, you get that time, you get that
in between.
The in between, you get the option to block off time as you see fit. You know, but if you're not working, you're not getting paid.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's just you got to balance it. It's a gift, like I said. You get to block off your time as you see fit, but nobody's holding you responsible to make sure you're doing what you need to do to grow your business. You know what I mean?
And I think I always tell everybody, I think one of the hardest things in life is to find balance.
Right.
You know, balance is probably one of the hardest things because you're either gonna put too much time over here, and you're gonna be lacking time over here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when you find your balance, that's when
it's golden. Find that balance.
Yeah, that's the golden. I think that's probably one of the best things that I'm learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let me ask you this: APRs. Have you had a lot of customers that complains about the new interest rates?
Yeah, you know, it's devastating for people who, after we seen the 2% interest rate, you know, we see it going up and just climbing. But historically, it's not nothing that we haven't seen before. You know, I feel like you said, these last 2 years, everything was crazy in every industry, every market. So, I mean, you know, it's just gonna take some adjusting. You know, if people are still buying homes, you know, we can't. That's stuff out of your control. You don't try to control it.
Absolutely,
you know?
you can't.
You figure out
how
you're gonna maneuver and adapt. You know, if that mean I need to increase my income, or if that mean I need to be looking at a cheaper price range. You know, whatever the case may be. You know, if I need to create a partnership group to invest in, or whatever the case may be. You know, you adjust.
Correct.
How important is it to have like an OG in the game? Like, is there one person you can specifically call to just ask any question to?
As a realtor, your broker or people inside your company, should be available for you. And in my experience, I've had the luxury of having those people.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as having a mentor, I think that's very important. In life, period. Somebody that can hold you accountable, but not only that, but be able to feed into you, pour into you. Somebody that want to see you win.
So how did your family react to you jumping into the real estate business?
Oh man, it's tough. Of course, my wife, she's very supportive. My mother, they're all very supportive. But at that same time, nobody's. You don't know what you're gonna bring on.
Right?
So,
sales guy, period. Yeah.
It's something that you have to prepare for.
Yeah.
And we were able to do that. So, I'm lucky. I was blessed to, have those people support me in my vision for my life.
So you would say family is important, as far as the game, like the industry that we're in. You gotta have a strong, base as far as that, because we don't know what the fuck hours we're doing.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, it could be 2 hours one day, 12 hours the next day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you would say that you gotta have a strong,
Yeah. I feel like that part is mandatory. As far as your family supporting you and everybody just being in agreement, because it's of course that'll call a raft at home.
Right. Yeah.
If we don't already know the risk that we're taking, or the time that we may have to put in. So things like that. I think that's very important.
So would you say that as far as the real estate business goes, would you need to save up some money to jump in? You know what I'm saying? Or can I just, if I don't have anything, can I just jump in head first?
You want to be prepared for everything. That's the golden rule. Be prepared. I was a Boy Scout back in the day. So be prepared. Saving up some money, just in case. Nah. But being prepared, man, you can't go wrong with being prepared. It's smart to be prepared. You know what I mean?
Better be prepared than underprepared.
Right.
Because you never know what the hell gonna go on.
Absolutely.
Did real estate change your lifestyle?
Absolutely.
So how did it change it? Because I know, like for me, sales changed my lifestyle, because before, it was totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean? So being a realtor, a car salesman, or anybody who owns their own business or is responsible for their income, you're creating a brand.
Absolutely.
You have to protect that brand. You want people to visualize your brand when they see you, and that's what they're going to do regardless. They're going to attach you to your image. So I mean, that's important. So of course, you clean up. You dress nicer. You speak better. You talk to people different. Not that it was bad in the first place, but you just clean up.
But it's crazy because even for me, like I catch myself. They be like, "Damn, Jimmy, we from the I'm from the country." So I'm like, "Damn, Jimmy, you talking proper as hell." But it's because of the people that you surround yourself.
Right.
with. You know what I mean? Would you say that, and this kind of a, would you say that your friends change? Like, you know what I mean? Because you are who you surround yourself
right,
with.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So would you say that the people that you hang around versus the people that you used to hang around, did they kind of change too?
Right. I got a pretty solid friend group, I like to think, but how I spend my time and how I allocate my time has changed. We don't get to hang out like we used to. We communicate, we support each other. We support each other differently now. You know what I mean? So I like to think that we all got to elevate together.
Absolutely.
When we change, we're there to support you. You're doing something different, so we're gonna move different with you.
All right, man. So you've been selling houses for a little while. You've probably seen a whole bunch of different types of customers.
Right.
Do you ever, show a house in a certain neighborhood or something like that and be like, "Oh no, you don't want to buy a house here," or this ain't the right neighborhood for you? Do you ever say something like that, or is that?
Not really, because what's for you might not be for me, or might be for the next person.
Yeah.
But as a customer, you want to ask if that's important to you, you ask your realtor that, hey, what's the crime like in this neighborhood, or what's the demographics, and I can give you that information, or advise you on how to look that up. But as far as saying, hey, no, you don't want to buy it, that's actually illegal.
Okay.
It's called steering. You can't advise people on, not to live here because of a certain demographic or over here, you know, because of certain crime. You know, you show your customers what they ask you to show you.
Yeah.
So is that something that could mess your license up, or I mean?
Definitely, yeah. You know, if you're reported to the real estate commission and they find you're in violation of, you know, breaking the law, you know, you definitely could get fined. You know, your license could be resigned.
Yeah, I mean, they could have bought that house and you told them not to. Next thing you know, it's worth $100,000
Yeah,
more.
now you get sued. You know, so you know
yeah.
you wanna cater to what your customer tells you that they need. You know, if the best schools is what's important to them.
Right.
You know, what information do you want to know about schools or you know neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Does that keep a value of a home up? You know, being close to schools or close to a Walmart. Does that help the value of a home?
So we as consumers get to determine value. So when people want to stay close to good schools and it's close to the, you know, the square and everything,
right,
we create that value by wanting that property. You know, so like I said, location
is key.
It's key. So everybody wants to be right there in the mix, close to good schools, close to good shops. So of course that's going to drive the value up.
Let me ask you something about comps real fast. So say, you know, you're looking at a house in a certain neighborhood and it's the most expensive one. You pay, you know, maybe a little over market value. Does that bring the value of the houses around it up or no?
That's a damn good question.
So when you take a listing, you do comps. You know, you find houses that are as similar as possible in structure. You know, as far as bedroom square footage. You know, pool, garage. You know, you want to get something that's close to that. So you see what it's sold for. This is what people are willing to buy. You know, this is what people are willing to spend on this. You know, so you kind of figure out where you want to list based on that. You know, you try to get 3 to 6 properties that you compare it to. 6 properties sold for this range, you know. So this is our range, you know. If you find one that expired and it was way higher than all the others, you know, that's too much. We're asking for too much. People are not willing to pay this price point for this, you know. So it's based on consumer value, what people are willing to pay.
Right. Yeah. So do they kind of go hand in hand of a consumer selling that house too? Do you find a couple different houses? That way you can kind of tell them like, hey, this is kind of where your house fall in line as far as pricing.
Right, yep. When you do your comps, you do a CMA, and it's exactly like that. You know, this is where houses just like this have sold, where houses have expired and didn't sell. You know, so this is where you wanna, you know, you advise, you don't really, you can make a recommendation, but your seller ultimately picks the list price that they want to sell it for. What people are not buying it for, then you know, they have to deal with that, whether the house sells or not.
Right. And what's one of the craziest stories that you would say that happened to you in real estate, as far as like, you know, where the customer goes?
I haven't had anything, you know, crazy, wild happen to me yet, you know.
I'm
thankful for that right now. But I've heard a lot of horror stories, man. Get on TikTok, man. You hear horror stories about people and their clients, you know, about houses, you know, a lot of properties, you know, especially if you're dealing with investors and stuff like that. But just, it can get crazy. Right. It can get crazy.
So you say, have you ever been in like a neighborhood, like, damn, where the hell am I at?
Yeah, definitely,
you know what I mean?
definitely.
Like,
you know,
to
make sure I lock my door.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You know, people live everywhere, people looking everywhere, people buying and selling everywhere. So you know, you definitely go into those neighborhoods. But you want to make a connection with those people out there too. You know, you want to know the community that you're selling and buying in.
So you being a African American, would you say that the market is a little harder for you? You know, because we are in the damn South.
Right.
So would you say that it's a little harder?
Well, you know, down here in the South, you know, we all experienced, you know, some, whether it was direct or indirect, whether it's direct or indirect, you know, that's something, you know, racism and prejudice, or, you know, just people judging. That's something that we deal with
in everyday life.
And then again, you know, just systematically, you know, there are a lot of advantages that, you know, we didn't get to take up, you know, way back when. So it's different, you know. We don't have our parents telling us about, so that's racism too, basically, you know. But it's like I said, it's in the record. There's nobody saying, hey, I don't want to work with you because you black. But you know, your brother not being able to buy a house because
Yeah.
he don't know nothing
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
He ain't
yeah,
never
yeah.
learned about
We didn't teach
credit,
that shit. Yeah.
putting money up or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can deal with that racism too.
Yeah, that's true. So, let me ask you this. Just going back to you just getting in the real estate business, did you ever hear any stories like, hey, you don't want to go to this area, or hey, you need to try to sell in this area?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, people, depending on what their motives are, hey, I want the biggest commission check I can get. So I'm not selling anything that's not in this neighborhood over this price point. But like I said, I try to sell that value to my customers. I want to be a resource to everybody at every level, you know, whether it's luxury, $1 million homes, or somebody buying their first home, or somebody trying to find something that they just can afford.
Right. So do you see a lot of more luxury homes sold than like, you know, the entry-based homes, or do you see, is it flip-flop?
I mean, it just depends on the situation. You know, investors like to buy cheaper homes that they can put money into, you know, but people who make a lot more money, you know, they have a better buying advantage of finding something that they like, that they want to pay for, you know, so they can go get a $500,000 house because they can afford it, versus somebody who can only afford a $150,000 house when there's no $150,000 houses in inventory, you know what I'm saying?
So if I want to buy a $500,000 house, what kind of income do I need? That's a good question.
More than I make.
We're gonna toast to them.
Just it depends. It depends on how much money you want to put down, how much, you know, debt you have, you know, so your debt can make your loan value go down. But it just depends.
It kind of depends on that. So I guess it's kind of like, well, it's a little flip-flop from cars, because in the car business, you can make $30,000 or $40,000, and you can buy a $40,000 to $50,000 vehicle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of
with homes, you can buy a lot more than you make, you know, because the terms are for a lot longer. But you know, it's a lot. Your product is a lot more expensive too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you know, if you got a lot of debt, you know.
Yeah.
We don't really want to give it to you. You already got a lot of debt. Then you take on this payment. You know, you're gonna be tight.
Yeah, then
we don't think that's
bankrupt.
Right. And that's what underwriters. That's what they're trying to avoid. You know, they want to qualify you, make sure you're not gonna default on your loan, and then they have to bite the bullet.
Right. So do you deal with a lot of foreclosures?
Me personally, no. Foreclosures. Most investors swipe those up. You know, like I said, a lot of investors, you know, either work with a real estate professional or are brokered themselves. So a lot of them swipe those up, but foreclosures go into auction a lot too. You know, so a lot of consumers don't really get to participate in those auctions, or aren't informed about them.
Right. So can you kind of elaborate and tell the people what a foreclosure is? Because a lot of people don't know what a foreclosure is.
So a foreclosure is when someone who has a mortgage, you know, defaults on their loan. The bank is trying to sell the house so they can recoup, you know, as much loss as they can.
Right.
It's kind of like getting your car repoed.
Right. You know, they resell it just so the loan company sells it so they can try to get what you owe them as much as they can at least.
Right. So cheaper route wise, I mean, is it cheaper to go in into a foreclosure than to just go into a home that's not foreclosure? You know what I mean? Is it cheaper that way, or you got to put more money? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it just depends on the property. Foreclosures, most of the time, they want their money up front. You know, because you're a lot, especially if they're auctioning it off. You know, the bank are trying to do a short sale so they can recoup their loss. But you also got to deal with, you know, a lot of foreclosures are neglected or, you know, haven't been taken care of. So you got to think about what you're gonna have to put into that property to get it up to your standards.
Right. So is a foreclosure considered as an as-is home, or because I've heard of an as-is home, or is that two different?
Most of the times, 9 times out of 10, it's as-is. The banks, they don't want to really go and do anything to it, but they want to recoup as much as because they're not real estate professionals. They just want to get their money back. They're in the bank game. Right.
So it's harder for me to get a loan on a foreclosure than it is on a, you know what I'm saying, a house that's up to date.
Right. So for foreclosures, like I said, most of them go into auction. Like I said, they want their, you know,
money up front.
You bid on it. You need to pay your money on it.
What do you recommend as far as terms goes for a house? Because I heard this before. I heard,
Let's get into it. Let's toast to it.
let's
Let's talk to it, baby. Let's do it.
So I heard, you finance a home for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, the regular person is gonna pay on it for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
The regular person.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you finance a home for 20 years, I mean, you're gonna pay off that home in 20 years.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, which one do you recommend to, normal person?
The longer, so your 30-year mortgage is gonna have a slightly cheaper interest rate because, of course, we're gonna charge you for longer.
Right.
We're gonna make that money.
Yeah.
But just think about it like this, So you got 30 years to pay it off.
Yeah.
But if you get some extra money, you can put that money towards principal.
So
versus you having a 15-year mortgage
yeah.
and your mortgage is
And you tight.
almost double that. Yeah, you're already tight.
Yeah.
You're least likely to have some extra money to put towards that principal.
Even if it's like 200, 300, 400, I mean, you're killing a lot of interest just by.
Even if you just pay one extra mortgage payment a year, you're looking at 7 years.
Right.
Less, if you make that 2, and you just
that's
apply the extra
yeah.
money to your principal. Make sure you get with your mortgage company, let them know, hey, this extra money that I'm paying right here, I want to go directly to my principal. That's the best way to kill your loan. Me personally, I'm not a lender.
Right.
In my professional
disclosure,
opinion, I would go with a 30-year long term. Get as much time as I can to pay it off. And when I do have that extra money, if I can afford to pay more or pay double, then I'll do that.
And that's true because, like I said, that falls back to us. I kind of like to compare, us to y'all. That's just like a person coming to buy a car.
So let me ask you this, because this is I've never heard that with a car. Can you apply? Can you make additional principal payment with cars?
So you can, and I like to say it's kind of like it's a simple interest loan.
That's right.
So you can, let's say that a customer come in, they want to pay 48 months, 60 months for that matter. Because like I say, and like you say, the times are different.
Right.
You know what I mean? Interest rates are more. Just because your interest rate is less at 60 months and it's more at 72 months, that don't really mean
But
shit.
your payment's gonna be
gonna
shorter time.
You feel what I'm
to pay,
saying?
yeah.
So if you got that extra money, why not go that 72? Because you don't know. Shit, things change.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Times change.
You just give yourself that extra room.
Absolutely. Because just like we didn't know that this shit was finna be like it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I know it's probably a lot of people that was like, damn, I should have went 72. Now, you know what I'm saying? This and that happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can always apply that money towards 72 and it'll cut that shit in half.
Right.
So it don't really matter at the
Making
end of
those
the
extra
day.
payments,
Yeah, it don't really matter.
So let me ask you this real quick. You ever sold a haunted house?
A haunted house.
Yeah.
All houses are haunted. They're a headache. No,
You ever heard a story or something?
No, I don't. Me personally, I haven't sold a haunted house. I've heard a lot of stories. Like I said, there's a lot of stories. People who passed in houses and things like that. You just gotta
Paranormal activity.
protect your spirit. Make sure you go in there with some sage before you walk through.
Yeah. Nah, man. This is crazy. But let's jump into this. Your family life, man. How is it? I know you just got married not too long ago. You got a new baby on the way. How is that?
Toast to the new baby, man.
Yeah, let's do that.
Big. That's real big.
It's real big.
First
How's
baby.
that?
It's your team, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's your team along with your friends, the people that are in your life, it's your team. It's important to have a strong team, just like any sport. You got to rely on the people that's with you.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it's just, good to have that support, I have a wife now, I have another teammate, I have a baby on the way, we raise them to be a good teammate. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to have a team.
When it comes to buying a house for yourself, how do you and your wife shop for a house? I mean, you see all these homes, so you see, the worst, the best, the middle. I mean, does it affect your taste?
What's crazy? What's crazy is we bought our first house right before I became a realtor. And it was in the middle of the crazy market.
Right.
So, you got to get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
And you got to do it quick.
Yeah.
Where we decided to build it, they were actually going up $5,000 every week. You know, so if you don't lock in today, you ain't got time to go look at something else. You know, so we ended up doing a new construction, which I love it. You know, it's new. We got to pick certain stuff we put spec homes, but it's new. We love our home, but we didn't get that time to shop around, look around. You know,
how was that process of picking? The different.
Did you design it? Or did she design it?
Yeah, that's what.
So the floor plan was designed by the builder. It's a spec home, but you get to pick finishes like your countertops. Your
the bricks and shit like that. Yeah. How was that? Did you kind of?
I was kind of nervous. No, I was kind of going with her because if it looked bad, I was
it wasn't gonna be on you.
Yeah, we seeing samples. We can't see what it looks like put together. I'm like, if this don't come together, I ain't no the interior designer. I don't know how to match colors and stuff like that. But stuff like that, it was fun. It was a fun process. We had a really good realtor, one of my good friends. But it was a fun process. It was good. We were excited. Like I said, it's generational wealth. So
correct. Yeah,
you can't go wrong either way.
No, you can't. So did you kind of like were y'all impatient? Because everybody, like even with me and my wife, we were gonna build a house, and it took so long. I kind of backed out of it.
Really? Yeah. So going into it initially, they told us, hey, it's gonna be 6 months. Because when we built that, when we went out there was no houses out there. We picked our lot, and they just tell us, hey, we're gonna get started on construction. Like I said, you don't own it. It's kind of like it as far as spec homes. You don't own it until you close. So, if anything do go wrong, it's on them. So I mean that was nice, but I was nervous. We both moved out of our parents' house.
So, that's some shit. That's big. That's big as hell. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know. I mean, the damn honeymoon stage. The honeymoon stage. When you stand with your parents and shit, you're not thinking about the responsibilities that you could have.
Right.
Because shit is so easy. You know what I'm saying? I can go see you, you can come see me, but you ain't gotta pay this. We ain't gotta split this.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? Exactly. So when you move in with a person, the shit hit the fan.
And me and my wife, we both young. I'm 25. Right. My wife, she's 23.
Right.
So we had that discussion before we moved. Before we decided to. Hey, we're gonna do this because it is a legally binding contract.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, hey, we might struggle sometimes. We might not. We responsible for everything. You know. So and that's another reason why new construction was more lucrative to us because we don't have to worry about a water heater going out or a new roof no time. So So, but it was definitely nerve wracking. It's a new lifestyle.
Yeah,
it's definitely a new lifestyle. Different, and especially when you have somebody that is just as responsible as you are.
Absolutely.
It's just like signing along with somebody.
Yeah, because at that point you're growing together.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like I know much as you know. Shit, sometimes like me and my wife, hell, some things break in the house, she fix it.
Yeah.
But guess what? I mean, growing up,
I ain't know nothing about that.
I ain't know shit about that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like y'all growing together, and y'all teaching each other. You know what I mean? And if you had to give some game to your younger self, you know what I'm saying? What are some things that you have learned? You know, in not only your marriage, but in your adult life that you would tell your younger self?
Be coachable. Be coachable, just be willing to accept information. When we're young, you got adults telling you stuff all the time. And you want them to have some faith in you, but you want to have that confidence at the same time, but you want to be coachable. You want to be able to get information from your OGs, from people who, your mentors, people who've been there, who done that, and learn, be coachable, and just take your time. It ain't no rush.
No, it ain't.
We rush to get him, man. We try to slow it down a little bit, but just be.
I wish I could go back. You know what I mean? Sometimes,
man,
you know what I'm saying?
They say ignorance is bliss. You're gonna learn as you grow, and the more you know, the more you have more responsibilities based on the knowledge that you know.
Right. And in episode 4, we just had this discussion. What is your definition of ignorance?
Just simply not knowing. Simply not knowing. And it's not a derogative term. It just means to lack knowledge. And if you don't want to be ignorant, go learn.
Go learn. That's how I feel. That's my definition. You know what I mean? And with this new baby on the way, do you? And I'll tell you how I feel because I done it.
Right.
I mean? So do you think that things gonna be the same? Do you think things are gonna change? You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna spend more time at work? Or you know what I'm saying? Because that shit come into play when you're
as soon as
kids.
as soon as we found out, we were expecting. My first mind went to money. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna spend more time at work. I'm gonna grind harder. I gotta make sure this is right. But that one-on-one, that bond time is just as important.
Absolutely.
It's probably gonna change more than I think.
Yeah.
But
look at me.
I'm trying to stay calm about it. Try to be cool. Like I said, I'm coachable. I'm willing to learn.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of people around me that I do it. So,
but it's a blessing, man.
Absolutely,
it really is, and it makes you not only, want to grind harder, because you gonna grind harder. You know what I'm saying? That's just in us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's we come from the dirt, so
Absolutely.
we're gonna grind harder. You know what I mean? We want to have them to have more than what we got.
Absolutely.
Or what we had. You know what I'm saying? But not only is it gonna make you grind harder, but it's gonna make you a better person.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because some things that we would have done back in the day, we won't do that shit.
Yeah.
You know what
I got
I'm
a child now.
I gotta think about that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker say something to me. Back in the day,
Absolutely.
that was different. Now it's okay.
I gotta make sure I get
home to my kids.
Absolutely.
My family. You know what I'm saying? They come into play. So let me ask you this, bro. So with you grinding to provide a better life for you and your family, what are some things that you're gonna teach your son? You know what I mean? That, because like I said, we come from, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know where we come from. What's some things you're gonna teach him? Because he's gonna have a lot.
Right.
Growing up, way more than we did.
Right.
So what are you gonna teach him?
I mean, you do want to give your kids that, that lifestyle that you never had, or that you would have liked growing up, have nice things, be able to do stuff, get out there. But at the same time, you want them to have that hustle, so just teaching responsibility, allocating that responsibility to them so they can learn early. I think education is the biggest thing, that we, lack, not just formal education, but, like learning about mortgages, how you buy your first car, teaching them about interest rates and, just negotiation and things like that. I think, educating them and just getting them ready for responsibility is going to be big.
Right. And that's a good point, because I think my mom done a great job. You know what I mean? I didn't have my dad growing up. You know what I'm saying? So she done everything that she could, and I think I turned out all right.
Right.
So I think that it's kind of, she didn't give me everything that I wanted because I didn't need it. You know what I'm saying? She gave me everything that she thought I needed. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's big. And what are some, like I said, I know you got a son. What sport do you see him coming up with?
I love basketball.
Okay.
I love basketball. Golf.
Who's your favorite player?
My favorite player. I love watching Steph Curry play, man. I love watching Steph Curry play.
Who your top five?
Hold on. Who the GOAT?
The GOAT.
Gotta go with top five. Who the top five? Because it's gonna say who the damn GOAT is. Who your top five? And I want to hear who your top five is.
Start with five.
You gotta, Michael. He the face of basketball.
Okay.
LeBron. You cannot deny. His impact on the game. Steph Curry. I feel like he, changed the whole generation of players. You know what I mean? So we got Jordan, LeBron, Curry. Let's see.
That's 5, 4, 3.
No, that's 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Jordan was one, right?
So we put them in order.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not even a LeBron fan, but I respect. Man, his game, right? I don't think I ever seen anybody do what LeBron has done.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So, I mean, undisputed, in my opinion, LeBron is number one. Jordan, just because of who he is, he the face of basketball.
Yeah.
Shaq, Shaq,
Yeah, that free throw miss.
He was unstoppable.
He was
Kobe.
good. Yeah, Kobe. You gotta go with the mama.
That's 5, ain't it?
Yeah.
That's 5.
You said Steph, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So who your 5?
Man, we're gonna get some comments on this one. We're gonna get some comments on this one. I'm gonna start with 5. I'll probably put Shaq at number 5. You know what I mean? And that's debatable as far as up to 2.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe even 1. I don't know. Shaq was dominant. You know what I mean? So I'll put Shaq at 5. I'll put just because of how he revolutionized the game, Steph at number 4.
Right.
I'll probably put I'll probably put Kareem at number 3.
Yeah.
I'll probably put Kareem at number 3. Number 2, I'll probably put LeBron. Number 1, I'll probably put Jordan.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? They could flip flop. They could flip flop between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's a different era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different era. There's a lot of debates on that. Y'all looking at me like y'all want to fight.
What's your top 5? Drop your top 5.
I'm top 5.
So I don't really.
But it's hard because like I want to put Kobe in there.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so hard to even slip him in. Not saying he's not top 5, but he is top 5.
Yeah.
He's like an honorable mention.
But you know,
like he could be number 2 or number 1.
it's crazy though. You gotta always put Kobe at number 3. Because if you're gonna put LeBron at number 1, Jordan at number 2, Kobe kind of mocked his game off.
You may tell
Jordan,
you,
though, right?
Probably an unpopular opinion I have though.
Mm-hmm.
That I gave Jordan, because of his reputation.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can't argue with reputation, but I feel like it's a lot of guys who came in the game and were more dominant. Who
Absolutely
were more athletic.
Absolutely
had more skill. And at least 5. They could have. Somebody could say, "Hey, Jordan wasn't as good as these 5 players."
But it's and that's a debate. For us. And the old heads, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to always be
right.
Everybody got their own.
It's crazy, though, because, like, Michael Jordan got beat up by the Pistons, and now you got people flopping over that. You know what I mean? So it's like the game changed so much, it's hard to even tell how current players would play in that 90s.
So that's kind of the argue, though. LeBron flop off of that. You know what I'm saying?
And I think he's just taking advantage of because he can.
And that's another thing, players, they become smarter, hey, if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to take that and I'm going to get those extra points,
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Where the hell you think that came from? That came from Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think anybody could be Kobe's form, though. He was just so fluid when it came to
where he learned it from?
And the jump shot. And he'll say...
Where he learned it from?
Look, the student surpassed the master.
Bullshit.
That's what I think.
Kobe was good. Kobe was good.
I mean, look,
but you can't put MJ number. You said LeBron was number 1, right?
No, I did not say that.
So who number 1?
I said MJ was number 1.
So how can you just say what you just said?
I think Kobe was the hardest working.
I think Kobe definitely.
I think that too. Definitely. I think MJ didn't have to work as hard because he was who he was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was that good.
Right.
That's just like
had that much more advantage over everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you just talk about impact. I don't think nobody had a bigger impact than MJ though.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's probably one reason I got him at number 1. But if we're talking about just pure skill, I think Kobe's the best. I think Kobe's the best. But again, everybody's got their own skill, right?
Debate, man.
Like Dwayne Wade got the best Euro.
It's a debate. And Dwayne Wade is going to be my number 4.
And that's my favorite player.
And Shaq is damn sure not going to be my number 5. Shaq was good, but y'all going to look at me like I'm crazy.
He was so dominant. Like, he didn't have to work that hard.
What about Magic Johnson?
Man, Magic was nice.
He was
Magic
good.
was nice.
What about, how did y'all look at Kevin Durant? Because I want to know how y'all going to look at me after I say, that's my number 5.
You know what's crazy? Before you even say something. So Kobe said in an interview that he could guard anybody. He figured anybody out. But he said the only player he never figured out was KD.
Really?
That's the only player he never figured out because he's so long. What is he, 6'9"?
Yeah.
He's 6'9", and then with his hands, he's like 8'13", you know what I mean? So it's like you can't even, like, he's so long. He said that's the only player he never figured out to defend.
KD, in my opinion, I think he just loves the game of basketball from an individual aspect. He want to win, and he's a competitor. But as far as career, and some decisions that he done made in his career, it probably, a lot of people don't give him that respect that he may deserve because he's trying to play basketball.
Right.
And there's a lot more to go into it for them, than just playing the game.
Let me ask y'all this: who is your favorite point guard of all time? Don't forget you got AI.
I know.
Yeah, don't forget.
You got to answer. We're talking about practice.
Derrick Rose.
That's mine.
Derrick Rose.
I can toast to that. I can toast to that. No toast, because I know that you finna say something else.
I ain't gonna say Derrick Rose.
I'm a really big Chris Paul fan too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about Steve Nash?
I like
Did we forget about him?
Generational.
I like Steve Nash. He was nice. You know, I was a big Celtics fan back in the day, so you know he was beating us. You know, he was flashy with it, but
him and Tim Duncan.
Steve Nash was really nice with it.
What about White Chocolate? Jason Williams?
Yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
Jason Williams? You know he had the pass behind the back, hit the elbow.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So who is yours then?
I'll probably say Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
You know, it's between him and Kyrie, to be honest with you. And Kyrie's career is not finished, but damn.
But
He got a ball on a string.
let me ask you this: do you think Kyrie's career will finish? Because I mean, he got so much shit that he be having going on. You know, he a different breed. You know, he's very outspoken.
Just like us, you know. They create a brand, you know, and he works for an organization, you know, that pays him, you know. It's about brand recognition. Just you know, it's not about whether you're right or you're wrong. It's about the impact that your statement is gonna make against the brand, whether it's negative or positive.
Correct.
You know, PR is a thing. You know, we just want to protect our brand. You know, so and I think a lot of times when players want to be, you know, outspoken, that they forget that, you know, the team has a brand to protect. You know, you're not out here by yourself. You know, you're not just representing yourself. So regardless whether, you know, we agree with you or not, we're trying to just protect our brand.
Correct. So would you say that's kind of portraying your self-image? Like because you're not being who you really are. You know what I'm saying? Like you having to be somebody else to get paid.
Do you want to get paid?
That's the truth.
You know, do you want to get
that's
paid?
crazy.
You can not work for the organization and
that's crazy.
portray how you want to do, you know, but if you want to represent this organization, you know, they have a vision and
that's true.
You gotta be with that vision.
I think for a couple of meals, I think I gotta portray the hell out of it. I can be
you know,
who I want to be. When
I can stand on what I believe in, and at the same time, you know, do my job, make sure I'm taking care of my family the best way I know how.
Yeah. So do you think though it come to a certain point that you be like, man, I done made enough money. Fuck them millions. I want to be me. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to leave a dynasty. I want, you know what I'm saying? Like I want my kids to see this.
That's
shit.
personal.
You know what I'm saying?
That's personal. I believe, you know, Kyrie has made a lot of money in his career.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he got money coming in a lot of different ways at this point, you know. So if he feel like, hey, I don't need, you know, the Nets money anymore, they done gave me enough. Then he could do that, but that's a decision that you have to make. You can't just say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. No, you're under contract, you're representing an organization. You want to protect your brand too. You know, you still want to sell jerseys. You still want people to come to your event.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you know, you just be careful what you say.
Yeah. What's your thought?
I mean, there's two sides to it, right? You know, you got the fan side of, man, you're so good at basketball. I just want to see you be great at basketball, right? So there's that side, like the fans are missing out on so much talent. But on the other side, it's like, what you believe in is you better stand by it. It's like your word, you know what I mean? You're not gonna say something and go back on your word. So I mean, those are the 2 points behind it. You know what I mean? I feel like you can't go back on your word, but at the same time, you're so good at this, and you're I mean, once in a decade, if not a few decades, like show your talents at the same time.
Right.
And I believe that's not the only hard decision, you know, we have to make in life.
Correct.
You know, so that's just another one of those hard decisions that we have to make. You're gonna, you know, figure out what's best for you, and you gotta. If you decide that this is the steps you want to take, you got to stand on that.
Right.
And, you know,
and
what comes behind it. You know, you're not wrong for saying what you believe in. They're not wrong for defending their brand. And, you know, we do what as men, you know, we do what we think is best for us.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So, would you say that, what's that motherfucking name that worked? He played for Brooklyn too, where he actually just left with the beard. I can't
James Harden?
Yeah. How y'all feel about him?
You know,
because he just as worse to me.
But you know, he doesn't go on camera and say these controversial things. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can kind of deal with that behind the scenes. You know, they may have had, you know, a lot of problems with James Harden, but we don't know about him because, you know, he didn't bring it to the camera, and neither did they. So I mean, that's one way to protect yourself. You know, you go have those conversations with your organization
behind the camera,
right? You know, instead of putting out, you know, statements that can be controversial and cost you, you know,
millions.
Real
talk. I mean, it's about the money. I mean, just like it falls back like us. It's about the money.
Right.
I enjoy the company. You know, I love y'all. You know, I rock with y'all. But at the end of the day, it's about the money.
So as you know, as Kyrie or, you know, James Harden or whoever, you know, they got to think about, if these people weren't paying me, I probably wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So just like if you're not gonna represent them in the way they want to be represented, then they wouldn't have
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely, yeah.
So you got it goes both ways.
Yeah. So how y'all feel about Morant? I mean, do y'all feel like it's too early to put him as
cold?
No, he cold.
But do y'all feel like it's too early to put him as one of the?
Yep, it's too early.
It's one of the greatest,
cold.
but he is definitely up next. You know,
Yeah.
he's who we need to be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is crazy.
That's how I
Man.
dunk on y'all.
I just, you know,
Yeah.
I will say it's too early.
Let's keep going.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So we gonna, before we get into this next subject, I want to do a toast with y'all, man. Because this is a good one.
This is
Yes,
great.
It's a great one, man. I appreciate you coming on, man.